We knew coming into the game that this team had won all of their games by winning the turnover margin, and we lost that 2-0, and did a lot of things as a football team to try to battle and continue to overcome the adversity that we kind of faced in many cases, caused by ourselves and just some certain aspects of the game today. Proud of the way they competed, but not good enough to win overall. And I love the fight to get the lead at the end, and they made a play to get the ball in field goal range on the kickoff return. And they made that play, which ended up being a winning play in a game that was, quite honestly, something that, we did a lot of the things that we talked about not doing, and the main thing being the turnovers, and got to take a look at them, obviously, but I was proud of the way we ran the ball, tried to stick with it as much as we could, ended up with a couple of 2-minute drives there where we had to go and maybe became one-dimensional, but for the most part the guys up front felt like we protected. I think we limited the negatives for the most part. We just felt like we were a play away all day.
Just JJ's accuracy, I guess, how did you evaluate that throughout the game?
Obviously you feel certain things when you're calling things, seeing coverages kind of express themselves, and you think maybe there's some ops out there, but I always have to really evaluate it from a standpoint of what it looked like on the tape, and if there were it felt like protection-wise, outside of a few plays I can think of, we tried to keep them clean. I like the protection plan we had against some looks that have caused some people problems on some of those third downs. And then overall just, felt like we were one or two pitch and catches away from maybe, having a little bit different dynamic to the game throughout. So I don't want to pinpoint one particular area, but there were some plays you think of as you kind of roll through the game from, start to finish. But I also thought there were some plays we could have made for them as well. And we just got to, stay the course and continue to coach the principles that we believe in wholeheartedly, and continue to try to pave the path for improvement, and like it starts with the pitching and catching and how we're putting things together and trying to make it as quarterback friendly as we can, while still being able to run the football and stay efficient throughout the day.
How hard is that where you have to give him the time to just progress through what he needs to progress, but going into that locker room after that game where the final margin was one play this way either?
Yeah, and that's what I told our team. We've learned some hard lessons on that margin, that razor thin margin of what these games come down to. I think there's a lot of things, whether that field goal goes through at the end or not, that for us to become the team we want to be, we've got to work towards those things in all three phases. And one thing I know for sure is this team, I gathered them up at the end and had every eyeball and every guy in that circle, and we've got great leadership and we've got great fight, and just the examples of our practice weeks and what we've felt like coming out of our practice weeks into these games with a lot of confidence because of the work that gets put in. That's exactly what we're going to keep doing.
It started to look like it just was snowballing on JJ, the incompletions, the wild throws. What were you seeing on the sideline as you talked to him in between series?
Yeah, it was just a couple of those plays. He was frustrated, and I just kept telling him, feet and eyes, and the things that we saw throughout the week on the practice field, make it about that. And I thought he did some nice things, checking the ball down a couple times. Yeah, we might have, missed some chances down the field in the play pass game, or missed some chances, maybe to convert on some third downs and get a new set of downs and can continue with the rhythm. But it's just about the next play in that moment. You obviously coaching principles, and I know Josh is coaching, footwork and technique, and I'm trying to call things that I feel will have the best chance to give him rhythm throws, but at the same time, just find different types of throws that I know I've seen him hit and start stacking them. And then I will say I was really proud of the way he finished that drive, throwing some completions. The fourth down, they brought a kind of different kind of zero than what we saw. He sped it up to Addison, and then we were able to kind of finish that drive for a touchdown. So there's going to be, with a young quarterback, there's going to be a lot of things that we'll pinpoint and continue to highlight and tie that preparation throughout the week and our plans to what he does well and continue to coach the things that where we feel the emphasis needs to be on. But it's part of the young QB journey. It just results like today, and especially when you're able to kind of fight through it all, get the lead. You would love to be making a lot of those growth coaching points and development coaching points with a 1-point win, but credit the Bears for getting it done in the end.
I mean, you only had just the one false start, but it goes from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 7 at a kind of a point where 3rd and 2 would have been good for you.
Yeah.
Does that change your call? Do you remember what? Because I think he threw kind of wild high to check.
I think it did not change the call, other than the fact that the cadence changed a little bit. We were on a smooth, quick cadence, which in a lot of ways is essentially like walking up to the line of scrimmage and saying "set hut." Not to give all of our information out there, but that's what There's teams at different levels of football that run that cadence, and we in a big moment didn't execute that. It looked like our tackles got off the ball on the cadence, and whether it was just not loud enough or whatever it was, it looked like we were navigating our way through the day without any of them after the work that had been put in. So that was very frustrating.
Kevin, you mentioned the young quarterback journey. And just what is the balance for you right now of trying to manage that while also just the result, the final result? Obviously.
Yeah, it's what's best for the young quarterback, what's best for our offense, what's best for the team. That's my job, to manage all those things, and I've got to do a better job of that.
What was your thought process today on that balance? Obviously, I think it's 16-3 at some point there, and he's really scuffling. And I mean, I know you want to win the game too. So, how do you kind of decide? Okay, he's going to keep going, or are we going to?
Yeah, it's all those things you're kind of working through, knowing that. I think when we got that big time return from Miles, to score, I ran it 2 times, directly off of that sudden change, which is unique, if you're looking back over the catalog over the years. But our guys responded and put the ball in the end zone. So, I liked the fact of how our early downs matched with how we wanted to play the game. We didn't have, I think we had one pre-snap that Mark was referencing, and then I think we had maybe one negative play all day. I can't remember too many times where I was kind of getting out of the rhythm of what we wanted to get to, and I think that's where some of the explosive plays, chances, maybe presented themselves. And when you can hit 1 or 2 of those, and we did. We married up a couple things and hit some play pass. Just had a few more opportunities, and. We didn't take advantage of them, and there'll be tremendous growth opportunities from this tape for our whole team. It's not just our young quarterback, for our whole team, but it's week 11, and the division games and the home games and those things that are so important, make you have to manage all those things to try to just show up here today and try to go 1-0. And that's not just at the start of the game; that's throughout. It's the second half when you're trying to navigate your way to just get in the lead. And then, there was a great feeling there when we had it. But like I said, credit them for finding a way to win the game.
Finer point on it, is there a level of performance that he would need to get to for you to consider whether he should be replaced in the game?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into any of that right now.
Do you see a theme with any of the drops? How much?
Sorry, Alec, I can't hear you.
Theme with any of the drops? Is any of that tied to just passing game rhythm? You feel like in terms of timing?
No, I mean. Like I said, I would have to go back and look at it, like what we're deeming, a true drop versus, are the guys having to work, to make catches consistently outside the frame of their body. I mean, I thought some of our best completions of the day, were well thrown footballs, and guys made some plays for him as well. Maybe on some plays where either we were, a little out in front or it got away from us a little bit, but. I think it still just comes back to, each individual play is going to be magnified, especially when you are, running things and setting things up and, trying to maintain a rhythm for the offense. Part of maintaining that is just finding a way to pitch and catch on a couple of those looks where maybe you get what you want, maybe you don't. But when you do, it's the pitch and catch element that has kind of made this offense, kind of fit. So. continue to strive for that and learn like I said, huge growth, learning opportunity out in front of us. That doesn't make any of this easier, but at the same time, it is the truth, and we'll continue to coach as hard as we possibly can. And I know for a fact everybody on our team is going to continue to work like crazy to try to go 1-0 every week.
JJ said earlier this week, when sometimes you get in heated battle, bad habits creep back in. That means fundamentals, and that's why you're constantly saying feet and eyes and balance?
Yeah, it's, whether it's just the initial posture, where we've just learned that when he has great posture, at the top of drops, he throws the ball really well. He did it Friday, did it Thursday. I think I even referenced on Friday the type of practices we had. It's the consistency factor of navigating through 4 quarters of a game. When you maybe miss one and feel some push here somewhere in the NFL pocket. That's what it is every single Sunday for every single player that plays the position in this league. And then on top of that, you start talking about pocket movement. And what is pocket movement? It's continuing to try to exhaust your progression or maintain number one, if there's a little bit of movement here and there. And how do I get and continue to have that posture while there is a place in the pocket to work through it. And then if you're going to get moved off the spot, like what happens to many quarterbacks, you move off the spot and find your check down elements or make a play with your legs, working off schedule play. There's we've got to continue to get better at the play as it's called, and we've certainly seen him use his athleticism to make some plays as well. But to me, it comes down to a lot of core principles of just, consistently every snap, whether it's number one, all the way to, however many we got today, 54, which isn't enough. But 1 through 54, we control what we can from a standpoint of techniques and fundamentals and our decision-making.
Did you see any trouble with his fundamentals in Michigan? Is this something that came about sitting out a year? Or?
No, I think it's just, I think the element of, moving forward into, an NFL offense and just the types of throws, the tighter hashes, the more space in the middle of the field. The game's different, but no, I thought some of his most impactful plays were on some of those weighty downs, and he's had some very impactful plays on those weighty downs for us as well. Just looking for the consistency factor to be, from a standpoint of just what is my job, what am I being asked to do, and when we start there and we check those boxes, there's normally been some good football that follows, and that's just the journey and the path of a young player, learning that lesson and applying it as we move forward here.
On their kickoff return, did you just get out, have a guy out of his lane there? Or?
Yeah, I got to take a look at it. Those are always tough for me to judge. But yeah, that was a massive play in a day where the special teams units have had such a role in helping us win the field position battle. I mean, I think our average drive start was the 32, and there were some quality returns that contributed to that. I think we had one holding call that forced us to start a little bit backed up on a nice return by Miles. But then that one play, and it's just the nature of when you're losing the turnover battle and maybe you're leaving some plays out there, your margin of error becomes very razor thin for your whole team. And that just becomes each and every snap, no matter whether it's offense, defense, or in the kicking game, are massive. And one play that they make or one play that you don't could alter your chances of winning the game.
Does it feel like it's been harder to hang on to momentum, like either game to game or in that instance where you take the lead and one play later they had the momentum right back there?
Yeah, you could feel it in the building, and you could feel the momentum. That's a great way to describe it. When JJ throws the touchdown to Jordan, 2-minute drill, as I told him earlier in the game, no matter what this day has been like, I'm going to tell you at the end of this, you just moved the ball down the field to help us win this game, and I'm proud of you. And I told him that. Just once again, the result didn't end up staying 17-16, and they beat us by making a play there, and then making the kick.